Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be cartooning and we're going to be drawing gnomes. So hopefully you've had a chance to talk a little bit about what a gnome is, where their origin comes from, and so let's get started. You will have a half sheet of paper like this, and your first instruction is to fold it in half. So just fold it in half, and the reason we're folding it in half is because we're going to use this fold line as a place to put the nose of our gnome, okay? And you want it to be fairly big because we want to use up as much of this paper as we can, okay? So right on the fold line, I'm going to put an oval, fairly big oval, because that's going to be his nose. And then you can see the second direction says add a beard or braids, and Mrs. Walker's drawn some example ones here. You can make any kind of beard you want. I haven't done one like this with the line, so I'm going to actually make this one be lots of little pieces of hair. They're fairly long. Remember, you get to decide how long his beard is. You're the artist, and so this is your decision. I'm going to make his about that long, okay? Now we need to decide what body shape we want our gnome to be. And so if you look at some of these examples of different gnomes, if you want him to be kind of big or big around, you're going to be circles. If you want him to be tall, you'd probably use a rectangle. This one looks like maybe there is a square shape here to start with and then boots underneath it. He's definitely a tall rectangle, but could we have made a triangle as well to create the wizard's body? You could, okay? If you're doing a really short guy, this guy's definitely a circle. This is an oval. So think about the shape you want the body to be that's behind. I'm going to do an oval, so I'm going to pick this shape. I'm going to start really light, so it says draw light. You're just going to do this very lightly because you want to just get this shape in there so you can add clothes to it. Now, I've done a bunch of different lines, and I don't really care because I know I'm going to erase them. And this looks like a pretty good oval to me. So now I want to put his clothes on, and I have to decide what kind of a gnome am I going to be. I can make him really silly and have him be super short with a really tall hat, or I could make him look more like this guy. I've made a lot of different ones, but so it doesn't really matter. But he definitely, most of them wear what's called a tunic, and that's just a really long, so I'm just going to kind of follow this edge. It's kind of a long, drapey, kind of really long shirt is what it is. So I'm going to just draw that around, but I'm going to make it kind of droopy down here at the bottom. I'm leaving a little dent right here because I know I'm going to put shoes in there, and I want it to look like it's actually just so long that it's falling down, okay? Now I'm ready to erase the circle. I don't need that anymore. You can leave a couple of lines here. If he's got a really big belly, you can leave a few lines to suggest that he's got a big round belly under there. Okay, that's okay to do. Then for arms, you can make him have long sleeves or short sleeves, but tunics, typically they are long sleeved. So I'm just going to put some long sleeves here. And depending on what you want him doing, now if you have him holding a flag or something, a pennant, you'll want to put his arm up. But I'm just going to put him down here for this one. And then I'm going to just put mittens on him, or just suggest this is where his hands are. Okay. His toes would be right in here. If you want to make, you can just make round ovals there if you want to. If you want to make him have like an elf shoe, you can do like a curl here, right there. Just curl it up on the ends so it looks like he's wearing like elf shoes. You could do that, okay? And then of course you have to erase some of these lines. So if you're going to make him have elf shoes, you're going to have to erase the lines that are in between. Let's see, I think it would look like this. I think it would actually look like almost like a triangle. Let me do that again. So I had my oval, but I think it would look like you put a triangle and then a curl on the triangle if you're going to try to do an elf shoe, because we're kind of looking at it from the front. And so this is what you might see, the front of the shoe, and this is the back of the shoe. Okay? You get to decide. You could just put regular shoes, you could put boots on them, whatever details you think would look good. Okay? I'm just drawing a traditional elf shoe, or what I would think an elf shoe would look like. Now, if you look here, we've done the shapes, we've added the clothes, I've added arms, legs. You can't really see the legs because he's wearing such a long tunic, but if you're going to make a shorter one, so if you make yours have, you can change yours. You can make it just be that he's wearing shorts and a shirt, It's completely up to you. Look at this one's got like an apron on and really long skinny legs. Some of these, he even has a belt around his, so you could add a belt if you wanted to. If you want it to be a dress, you're probably going to want to use different shapes to start with. This is a combination of a square and a trapezoid. You could probably do a triangle if you wanted there. Boots, they could be boots with heels, they could be skates. You decide, because this is your gnome. You can see there's the little curly elf shoe if you want to do that. Boots are also kind of fun. All right, then the last thing it says is finally add a really tall hat and lots of details. So your hat can be taller than your gnome. You can make it, but it should be at least as tall as your gnome. So if you look at this and this, so if my gnome is this big, I want my hat to be at least this big. Can it be bent? Can it be bent over like this? Sure. So like if I don't have room, if I did my gnome this big and I don't have room to do it, I can always make my hat bent over. And you want it to be a really slouchy hat. Look at this. This hat should come down and really cover their eyes for the most part, unless you want their eyes peeking out. If you do, that's up to you. You can make their eyes peeking out just under the brim of the hat. But I'm going to make my hat really tall, and I'm going to make it coming way down here like this. So I'm going to start by making those curved lines where I want that to be. And then I'm going to make it go way up to the top, and I'm actually going to curve it around because I just want this to be like a really ridiculously tall hat. Okay, there we go. Now I can put something on the end if I want to, or I can leave it plain. It does not matter. A lot of times theirs are just plain like this. They don't really have anything on the end, so I'm not going to put anything on there. I can make him have patchwork. Maybe his hat has had to be repaired, so I could put like little patches on here if I wanted to, make it look like he's had a little sewing job done there. Okay. Now the last thing, before you if you are completely done, you need to think about where sorry, where you want your horizon line to be. So you could just pick this fold line. This could be where the sky and the land meet. I could just put it right there. Or if I want it to have mountains in the background, I could put maybe two horizon lines. Maybe I want this to be kind of mountainous landscape behind him. Maybe he's outside. Maybe I'm going to put some trees or things back here. You decide what the storyline is for your gnome. Where is he at? What's he doing? What's his favorite thing? I'm going to show you some of my ones that I've done before. This is one that, of course, Mrs. Walker likes Pokemon, so this guy's out doing Pokemon Go, and I still have more details I want to add to him. I'm probably going to give him some characters on his hat, or make it, I need more Pikachu, not Pikachu, but more Pokemon in here, I think, for this one. Here's another one. I decided to try and do one inspired by this guy right here with the little shield. So that's my sort of mountain man. This guy's going on vacation. You can see he's got his little flag. He's got some sunglasses. This one loves art. I heart art. He's got his easel in the background, dripping paintbrush. I want to do a little picture on the easel. I haven't done that yet, though. I haven't decided what to put on there. So those are some that I've started. Here's some that I've finished. When we get completely done, hopefully today we'll have time to do some watercolor paper, because what Mrs. Walker has done here is I have glued this. I cut out the gnome starting at the horizon line, and then I cut around anything that was in the picture, and then I glued this onto a piece of painted paper. And you'll see in a lot of these examples I've done the same thing. So this one, using the texture plates to give texture to the ground, to his clothes. I'd like to see you do some of that when you color him in. I want you to get the texture plates out and give him a little texture in his clothes and the ground. Here's another one. This guy's just getting ready for bed. You can see he's got his teddy bear and his slippers, bunny slippers, his toothbrush. I've used painted paper for this, so if you want, instead of drawing a hat, you can cut out some material or cut out some painted paper. Here's a wizard. Mrs. Walker had some doll hair that was from some craft store, and I have some of this. I think I have some left that you guys can use if you want to for that. Sequins to make him sparkly. We'll add all those details on the last day. And here's another one. So any of these are fine. I want you to be creative and do your own thing, okay? So your gnome should be reflective of you, okay? Mine, when I think about the two that I like the best that I've done, These are my two favorite ones because they really say a lot about me. Okay, I hope your gnome will have characteristics that make me think about you.